Welcome back, friend. TrVon has done a cool video here. It's 15 minutes. I really recommend it. And he speaks about his early days of HEX. So he's a day one Hexican. And he goes through his comments here and he goes through all the abuse he was copying at the very, very start. You know, a lot of it is like, look at this one. That's the great thing about crypto. You can always blame someone else. What are the odds? Richard Hart conveniently declares he got hacked and all the ETH is gone. So this is 3 years ago, right? This is talking about HEX. So it went up 1000x from this point, right? And in this video, TrVon basically, he makes the similarities between HEX and XEN and how he got abused at the start. And he mentions that it was 98% down from day one. So he actually does the calculations, which we'll go through shortly. And he's talking about XEN getting the NFTs out and, you know, what's coming. So he thinks HEX has bottomed, but he's saying, hey, man, this is this is him with short hair. Yeah, it's funny. So yeah, this is him, man. The early days of HEX. It's crazy. So 1 ETH getting you 222,000 HEX. So yeah, man, back then, that was a long time ago, right? When you look at the chart. So he's basically just trying to tell people, hey, I've been here before. I've been abused by the majority of the crowd, and it feels exactly the same. And I'll give him that. I think it's great. I think it's a great observation, and he's sharing it with you. Many influencers will get this information, and they'll do nothing. They'll make the money themselves privately, and then they'll only brag about it later. Yeah, but they don't want to risk their reputation. So TrVon doesn't care about his reputational risk anywhere near as much as what these other guys, other frauds are doing, all right? So you can get a lot of valuable information here. So I really enjoyed this video, and he goes through the similarities, but can we derive something for XEN? That's the question. The question is, can we derive something for XEN? Because XEN is 99.99% down at touched. And firstly, we have to analyze, why did HEX go up? So can we find proxies and similarities to get XEN to go up? Can we? And we're going to look at that now. So I have the HEX price. TrVon does the ratios from day one of the option amplifier of HEX. The starting price, the highest price on the first day, someone paid 0.0033 cents on, where the arrow is. So they dropped 98% offside in about a month. Bang, you know, and then it did its 10,000x, right, from that very, very, very bottom tick. However, we have to, I'm just being completely honest, I'm sharing with you information. This is what's going through my mind, all right? I reckon Richard Hart pumped this. I reckon he was this, and I reckon he was this part. I reckon he was that. And I also reckon there was some intervention here to new heights. I think that's what happened. That's just personally what I think. Of course, I don't know, but we have limited information. We're looking into the shadows. We have a small little flashlight, not even a flashlight, man. You have a little match. You know, your little match, you can barely light a candle. That's all you have in the shadows. We're trying to get information here. I think he pumped it. Now, to a newbie, you might think that's bearish, but it's completely the opposite. Name me a project where someone believes in it that much, he pumps some money into it. Name me a project. Go on. You don't know any. Okay? There is nothing more bullish than if you really can smell the founder going all in. Nothing more bullish. I'm not saying it's going to work out. Just saying, man, I'd rather back that guy. Because that's someone who puts his, no pun intended, he wears his heart on his sleeve. He goes, fuck it. We're going. And look, it worked. It worked. Did 1,000, 10,000x, man. It worked. All right? So that's what I think happened here. Now we have to think. Is Jack Levin, who was the 21st Google employee, is he going to do something like that with XEN? That is what I can't decipher. Now, by the way, it was back then, everyone thought it was a scam. There's no way anybody thought, like, why would the scammer who did all this money to get the money to do all this scamming to get the money. Why would he go invest it back into the community? That's why HEX is like an anomaly, a unicorn, really, because that's what happened, right? When that's what happened to the haters. That's why their mind's blown, right? So will it happen with Zen? Will it happen with Zen? We have to think about what actually makes a coin go up, okay? Because when we figure that out, then we'll be able to figure out what's going on. So you have HEX, right? And you have USDC, 2 pools on Uniswap, yeah. You have HEX and you have USDC. And we are going to draw a cute little rectangle. That's one pool and the other pool, right? So people who believed in HEX at the start, they put money, USDC is the same as ETH, but we're keeping it very simple, okay? They put quote unquote real money in and they got their HEX out. They received HEX. But the only way to get your HEX was to buy it from the pool. And yes, it was inflating. HEX was inflating at the start and then it stopped, which is similar to Zen. But the only way to get HEX, because the inflation stopped, was to buy it from the pool. That is what people like TrVon are saying. They're saying, look, at the start, the only way to get it was to it was very inflationary, but then the inflation stops. Then it stops. And then the only way to get it is from the pool. So even though we are looking at something minus 99.99% down and the target's minus 100%, that is what we're going to observe. Now we have to think about how many people are there. The liquidity is 310K. If I remember correctly, I think HEX had, I think it had 5 million liquidity at the start. So this is pretty big, right? Pretty big at the start. It had 5 million liquidity to bootstrap it. And it still pumped. So a lot of money went in. Right? So it's not some really, really small, thinly traded thing. So we have to think about the future prospects of why anyone will do this. So the game theory with HEX is lock up your money, you'll get the inflation, you shield the community and the network, we're going to grow, we're going to do bigger and better things, more stuff is coming, and they haven't been wrong so far. I mean, assuming Pulse Chain and PulseX comes out, and then a wallet comes out, and then Richard Hart buys the exchange, and he ties all of it together, that's the journey, okay? That's the journey. If you don't buy into it, sell and leave. It doesn't really matter. But I'm just describing this information because we can't find this anywhere, man. We have to work together. We have to work together and we share this. That's why you're coming to me for this information. You don't find this anywhere. So, HEX had this liquidity at the start and it's still pumped. It was inflationary at the start. But there is an X factor, okay? The X factor is the marketing. The marketing was this is going to pump harder than Bitcoin. This has less liquidity. This has better game theory. This has inflation that comes out. And to get the inflation, you've got to lock up for longer. So the higher probability people who locked up for longer start up YouTube channels and stream and get tattoos and they shield and they grow the community and the network and they think twice about going to other stuff. They think twice about defecting. Doesn't guarantee anything, but just enhances the probability. You have a synergy everywhere, right? Let's look at Zen now. Zen doesn't have this narrative. It doesn't even talk about price, at all. Zen's the marketing, the subliminal stories are, it's Zen will gain adoption. So that's one thing we talk about. Is there a background here? Yeah. That's one thing you hear about. Zen will gain adoption. Okay, I hear that. What's another thing we can look at? They also say Zen people will build dApps for Zen to burn it. So that's another narrative they come. And I'm not saying they're not going to happen. Of course they can happen. But, big but, if this is what you rely on, where you make a big network for people to, you hope your community grows and people build networks and dApps and stuff to burn the Zen, you're effectively assuming slaves will appear. Because, okay, let me explain why. In HEX, for example, you have Hedron and Icosa made from I forgot the gentleman's name. Alex, that's right. Very, very smart guy. Very smart man. He's a hexagon. I don't know when he got in, but effectively, the price pump, so the price pump and the community energized him enough to make ICOSA, which is staking NFTs, make them like bonds, and you can trade them, and Hedron and stuff, right? So it energized him. So basically, you can think of these pumps as a bribe. It's like, hey, I'll make you a bit rich, and I'll leave it up to the free market to decide how you want to develop this. Think about that's why crypto pays off so much, man. Look, think about the risk. It's like someone maybe is gonna pump something, and then that's gonna create some sort of passionate entrepreneur. Like now you can see why does crypto give you 100x's? Because this is the risk you take. It's literally bleeding edge, man. It's bleeding edge. That's why it's right next to gambling. It's literally gambling. Okay, it's only gambling if you lose, they say. So so where's this part for Zen? Maybe it's coming. I don't know. Maybe it's coming. Because the market cap is pretty small. It's only 5 million. But, man, we have to evaluate what's the probability that Zen supply goes low and this starts happening. So I have still this arrow from far. Let me tell you one thing. I didn't miss out on HEX because I thought it was a scam here. But after I saw this run, I took notice, okay? I took notice. That's when I started to take notice. I took notice up here, and I didn't FOMO. Of course not. You know me. I was like, that's it. If this really is the second coming of, Christ himself, there's going to be a retracement. And guess what there was? 60%. I forgot when I got in. I think I got in after this. I think I just got in after this. I didn't even really want it. I didn't know it was going to go up or anything. I was like, well, it's been a big retracement. I'll just get in. So the point is you didn't miss it. Like this thing still went up 100x. All right. Still went up 100x. So, I mean, yeah, but it's nice to get, on top of your 100x, it's nice to get another 50x, right? But looking at Zen, you have to now think with me, do we think the chances of some mysterious hand coming in and pumping it to the heavens is likely? And what are the mechanisms that would occur? Because now we get to the intricate, high-level detail here. If you believe that HEX is successful because this bribe came first, someone, quote unquote, someone pumped it up first to show, hey, I am a strong hand, I believe in this, and I am serious about this community, because that's my opinion. I am leaning towards that. Right, now, we can change, it's a loosely held opinion, but I'm leaning towards HEX's success is a product of this first pump. That's what I believe. I believe this first pump was so godly in the bear market. Remember, it pumped after... Look where the zombie virus was. The zombie virus was here. So... Wow, man. I mean, you go back to it. Whoa! 35x after the zombie virus. Wow. I know. Yeah, that's right. Whoa! Whoa! 35x after the zombie virus. So you can see how this made a lot of believers, man. You can see how this made a lot of believers. And that's why I'm saying don't judge, don't hate anyone. Just, we're all friends here, man. This made a lot of believers, and I put it on my radar. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to wait. Yeah, maybe wait a long time, a whole year, but we got in. Okay, you're not missing anything. How's the Zen story going to play out? Because it might play out differently, They're releasing Zen NFTs to, quote unquote, burn stuff. But there is no, I know this comes across as scammy to people, but with HEX, the marketing of everyone is, this will pump. We are growing. This will pump. This will go up more. Price performance matters most. And get paid along the way. And I would argue that's actually the most powerful narrative of all, to get money to get people to open their wallet and invest, right? Even stock market boomers haven't figured this out yet. So Zen's narrative is not that. Zen's narrative is just, I remember Jack saying, I wanted at like service stations, for people to spend it. By the way, people spending a currency is really bearish because you're dumping it all the time. You're not storing value in it, you're dumping it. So that's one thing, right? But by the time people figure that out, the price might be much higher anyway. So that's what I'm just trying to think about. I'm trying to think about I don't like the narrative of it's missing the price. People care about the price, all right? So why I earlier mentioned you're expecting slaves to come in and build stuff around it. Look, maybe that happens, man. Maybe that happens. Maybe there's like a whole network of people who come in and they do this. But we will be fighting 2023 plus 2024 plus 2025 narratives. You will be fighting that, all right? You will be fighting that. And let me tell you firsthand, I learned this the hard way. Even if you're in a coin or crypto that has a solid team, they're building something useful for the future, you have a decay. There is a constantly decaying effect of people leaving. Basically, it's boredom. People get bored. People see another thing move, and the more that other narratives form, that's what your coin just ends up bleeding over time. This is why we have the bleed of death. You know, something pumps and you just bleed over time. You bleed over time. In that time period, in this part, right, people are leaving because they're seeing other coins pump. They're seeing Doge and SHIB and other narrative and Elon Musk, and then that goes down, and now it's JPEGs, and then that goes down, and now it's Ohm, and this and that, and they're like, oh, what happened to this mad cute project? You know, like they're just like, ah, well, that's what happens, unfortunately, because crypto is hyper competitive. I don't like that it happens like this, but it is what it is, right? So, you know, my friend actually asked me, what's the alternative worldview of this? And the answer is, well, if someone makes a protocol, it has like an agreed value and it oscillates between there. But wouldn't that be a great world if it just did this over time? Because it's like an agreed value. But we know markets don't do that. Markets be like, oh, we're rallying. Oh, no one wants this thing. Who cares? I don't care how useful your product is. It goes down. That's why we're like hyper competitive, man, in crypto. Hyper competitive. You can't be too judgmental, okay? I'm telling you, 1,000 people joining a poopy protocol will always trump 100 people joining your I'm going to save the world and we're building this mad thing protocol. I don't care who you are. 1,000 people trumps 100 people. That's it. More people win. It's network effect. The value of the network grows with the number of users squared. Okay? Not everyone's figured it out yet. So, one thing Zen's really got going for it, it's still small. We are still early. Its market cap is like 5 million, you know? Maybe HEX goes to 10 billion market cap. Then I could make the case that maybe the market cap for Zen should be 100 million. I'm not too well versed on how the inflation mechanics are going to change over time, but I know it's super inflationary now, you know? I really do know that. And eventually it's going to slow down. Eventually. But in my mind, the opportunity cost of other crypto is too great right now for you to just be throwing money. Ridiculous. So I'm just going to go off this, all right? Let's go off the facts. Have you ever been punished for being patient? No, you haven't, all right? Everything just went lower than you could possibly imagine. So that's why, like, I drew minus 100% down here. Maybe it goes lower than anyone can possibly imagine. Maybe it happens, man. Maybe we actually go down and hit 100%. Because I'm thinking about all those wallets, you know, 20 million Zen from 0.12345, 3357. Each wallet that costs $2 still gives you $67 at today's price right now. Right now. Costs you $2 to $3 to mint. Gets, you know, like minus. Actually, let's divide it by 3. Yeah, man. People are still up 22x on their free wallets. 22x. I think, like, oh man, if you want blood, you make them break even. Wouldn't that be funny? That's where you got to go in at that point. You have to go in. If we divide it by 22, wow, 1. So that would be, oh my God, it's down here. It's actually down here. It's so close to 0, I don't even think you want to look at it. Whoa. Whoa, okay, I don't even think, it doesn't even let me. Another 97% down. Wow, I mean, the number's so low, it won't even let me go down that quick. Whoa, that's so low. So that's, this little sandwich, this is like, you're like, you know what, I'm taking a punt. I don't care what is going on in the world, World War III, another zombie virus, you got to take a punt here. Something might happen here, okay? Maybe we don't get there, I don't know. So now we have at least the buy zones where we think, all right, if things go lower than you can possibly expect, and we got to rinse a lot of the weak hands first, this is where we probably have to start acting. But right now, I still don't like it. I don't like it that People are up 22x on their $2 wallets, and there's people with, so people are up $64 per wallet, and there are people with 1,000 wallets. Yeah. All these people just making so many wallets, thousands of wallets, 100 people of like this, 64K. The liquidity is only 318K for them to take out. So that's what I'm thinking. However, we can't get too bearishly euphoric because eventually there just is a bottom and just people believe in it so much they don't want to sell. But you got to think, man, the people who bought into HEX, was it the same psychology of people buying into XEN? Because people put their money into, there was no free way to get HEX. You had to give it money. You had to sacrifice Ethereum. You had to give it actually like real currency to participate. With XEN, you can argue, yes, you had to give it real currency too. You had to pay $2 for a mint, for a wallet. But I don't know if that's, like, man, do you really see it, like, why should someone be rewarded because they made 3,000 wallets? Literally, you're making random integer numbers on using cryptography and you're just being rewarded with more coins. I don't know if those incentives are going to line up, right? But remember, everything's got a price. Even absolute poopy, even absolute poopy will have a price. So there we go. If it drops further down, maybe next year sometime. Maybe next year. So that's why I just want you to learn this off me. We don't judge everyone, man. Everyone's got a good side and a bad side. Everything's got a price too high and a price too low. If you fall into the trap that the laws of physics and gravity no longer applies to you, you're in the most dangerous position of all. I think you should only have that when it comes to close friends and family, like your loyalty, right? Like how much money would you take to, say, betray your own mother and father, For me, zero. There is not a price on earth that I would do that, So you keep some stuff in the world, you can be completely irrational. When we're dealing with numbers and free markets and all this stuff, man, we're just a drop in the ocean. So I hope you learned something from this, friends. Until next time.